You guys asked for it. I asked for it. It's poetry time. We're finally doing your poems today. You guys sent me so many emails and so many poems, and it's honestly amazing. I picked them at random. I picked some of the really early ones, some of the late ones, some of the middle ones, one from my spam folder, because I'm checking that. Your stuff's not getting lost, I swear to God. If you're new here and you want to send me a poem, I have a list of the things you need to send me in the description. I also have the email you'll send it to there. I don't know how I'm going to do this because I want to go through them quick enough that I can go through a lot of them, but I don't like rushing poetry and I don't like rushing through you guys. So we're going to see how this works out. A lot of you guys said that these were your first poems or your first poems in a long time, and it makes my heart happy that people are writing. I'm really excited to give feedback. I feel like we should all just mentally prepare ourselves to get excited. I'm not going to be mean. That sounds like I'm going to be mean. Right now, me and you have the same goal, and that is to make your poem the most effective at what it's trying to do. And sometimes that requires a second pair of eyes, someone who's not so close to it as you are. So the feedback is a good thing. And I'm not just trying to butter you guys up before I rip these poems apart. You know who you sent your poem to. Keep in mind that you do not have to listen to all my feedback. If it goes against your style or it goes against your poem, don't take it. I'm not an expert. Someone in my comments called me the Gordon Ramsay of poetry.
What are you? An idiot sandwich.
And don't do that. That's giving me an ego. It's going straight to my head. Don't call me that. Feel free to comment on the poems, but keep in mind that the poet might be reading the comments, so let's just all be respectful. I feel like we can all do that. I don't really have worries about people bullying, but the internet. And at the end, I have a little something for you guys. This is going to be very much like the Doki Doki Literature Club videos where I have it up on the screen and I'm writing all over it and I'm nitpicking the shit out of it. But unlike the Doki Doki ones, I am not doing grades. You guys would all get A+. It's not going to work, but I am your teacher. So today we're doing stickers. Are you ready to be my first victim, Dylan? Hi, I'm Dylan. He, they. I'm currently 18 and I'm currently releasing my first poetry book here in the Netherlands with a publisher. Hell yeah. Though I am really a beginner. I've always been writing song lyrics since forever, but since last year I started writing without background music. I am definitely scared I lean too much into Instagram poetry or I suffer from usage of expensive words to give solid questions. Do my poems come off as pretentious? Where do I draw the line between using interesting words and becoming too sophisticated? Yeah, very good question. This is something we're gonna get into. Thank you for taking the time to read this. I'm fine with being mentioned any way that might be needed. Well, I read your whole email, so I hope that's okay. Dylan sent me 2 poems, and we're gonna go through 2 poems. Some of you guys sent me more than 2 poems. The storm. Sometimes I am scared of thunder, the same sound that helps me sleep. But now it lets me wander into nightmares formerly known as dreams. Hatefully I lay my head on the pillow as the storm outside attacks my thoughts. I hear the crushing of the old lushful willow and hear the tree being beaten to dust. The realization of my dumbness infiltrated the room. I forgot to close my window. I am doomed. The wind starts to gather in my small home. Papers flying. The dangerous prodrome. Flee, run, escape, wonder. If the tornado catches you, won't it feel warmer? This poem is about self-doubt, stress, and overthinking. How nice situations can be turned stressing by your brain. Realizing maybe instead of being scared of it, you should embrace the stress and deal with it. Lovely idea. If you guys hear that humming in the background, that is not my laptop. That is Cadabra Guy's laptop. It's the only one with the fan sounding like it's gonna take off into space, and I think it's him trying to sabotage me. He doesn't want to see a girl boss win. So you kind of do a rhyme, it looks like. Thunder, wander, sleep, dreams. So that one's no. Pillow, willow. Thoughts, dust. Yeah, okay. I'm starting over at A, fuck it. A, room, doom, home, and then B. I was really fascinated by this one because I was like, oh my god, 2 different rhymes that look very similar. Someone could do something with that. Someone could play around with that. I really like that. If you're gonna rhyme, You got to do it consistently because rhyming isn't just words sounding the same. It is music to our brains. You know this, you write songs, Dylan. Your brain starts to expect a similar pattern, and when you mess with that pattern, your brain really doesn't like it, and it sounds way more clunky than if there was just no rhyme. That's fine. Draft 2, you could easily fix the rhyme. I wouldn't say here twice. Sounds bad. And I understand that the speaker is in the house, laying on their bed, obviously, and they're listening to all this happening outside. I kind of wish there was a little bit more action. It's not required, but I think you could really do some fun stuff with some more action because you're just scared laying in bed. All we get is this. I lay. That's all you do in this poem. If you want, you could add more action, but that is up to you. I understand that this is a mental thing. It's thoughts in your head. So you start with the storm, and then you go to thunder, and then you say the storm again, and then holy shit, this is where we realize how intense this storm is. And then we see tornado here. So I would make it clear that the storm is building, or I would say tornado in the title and mentally prepare the reader for that right away. I wasn't fully placed in the setting as a reader. I was kind of figuring out what was going on. As for the title, you say the storm, which is a definite article. It means this storm specifically. I would suggest changing it to either a storm or storms, because that would make it any storm, storms in general, because saying the and having this be about like stress and overthinking, that kind of makes it sound like this is about like a specific trauma. Why a willow too? Because your descriptions, are very vague. And then out of nowhere, you move into something very specific. The old lushful willow. That makes me think that willows represent something here, because everything else is vague. This is a good description, beaten to dust. I really like the word dumbness. That's a fun word in a poem. I don't like infiltrated. That's too formal. This one would work. I like random scientific words thrown into a poem. I think they can work very well. I'm trying to do that more in my poetry, but this one doesn't work just because this means like a first sign. Right? This means like a first symptom of something, doesn't it? Like the warning signs, right? This is already at the end of the poem. You'd have to move it up, but I don't think you should take out that word. The tree's already beaten to dust. The papers aren't nothing. Gathers is the wrong word. It's too chill. It's too chill for the chaos that's happening right now. I want the energy. Flee, run, escape, wander. It's wonder instead of wander, because you're wondering if the tornado catches you, won't it be warmer? But I really don't like this. It sounds like telling, not showing. I do, however, like that these are 3 of the same kind of descriptions, and then you have one that kind of comes out of left field, one that's completely different in this lineup. That's a very good line of when you list things, when you list descriptions and stuff. I always like it when one is shaking it up a lot. So Dylan, you angered me for a second, and then I realized I read your poem wrong. The realization. I was reading it for the first time. I got to the realization, and then I stopped reading your poem, and I went to write 2 pages of notes in my book. And I broke my own cardinal rule of read a poem all the way through before you write notes, before you try to analyze it. I'm gonna tell you what my notes said because it still applies, even though it has nothing to do with this line. So I thought you were saying the realization, and then you were gonna say the point of the poem. I completely missed it. I got carried away that the realization wasn't for the point of the poem, but it's for the fact that the window's open. I don't like it when people write "I realize" in their poems, because I talk about this in Doki Doki Part 1. I believe Monica does it. When a beginner says "I realize" and then they say the point of their poem, they are skipping the poem. Many beginners do this because I don't think they realize it's an issue, and no one tells beginners not to do it and that it gets in their own way. So I'm telling you. The fastest way to gut your poem is to say, I realize. A lot of poems, I would argue almost most poems, are subject A, subject B, which is something I heard about from Billy Collins. Poems start with a very familiar idea. They start with a concept that isn't challenging to accept. Yours would be thunder is scary. Yep, I've heard that before. I'm not going to argue with it. That's not challenging. Any prior notions I have, that's fine. And it's a way to lead you in and guide you in. And you start there, and then you end at subject B, which is a different point of view. The transition, how you get from point A to point B, that first turning of your subject is the poem. It's the meaning of your poem. It's where you get the emotional response for your poem. It is the showing and not telling of poetry. Subject A, subject B is presenting an idea, revealing something about it, changing something about it, turning it a certain way in front of the reader, and saying something new. I'm pointing this out because your poem, though the realization is not for what I'm talking about, you still do not have a transition in your poem. My favorite example of subject A, subject B, and the one that I learned this kind of technique, it's not a form, it's just a way to kind of present an idea, is through Billy Collins' poem, The Lanyard. I'm gonna have it up on the screen. It's about a boy who makes a lanyard in a summer camp, and he's like, oh, I made it for my mom. It's a gift for my mom. And it sounds very ridiculous, and you can see the switch from it being a silly little stupid thing to being very important to the mother very clearly in this poem. It's a really good example. Learning subject A, subject B, and learning how to do that transition is one of, I think, the most important foundational knowledge a beginner should learn. Not every poem has to be written that way. So many of my favorites aren't. But in terms of foundational knowledge, you should invest in learning that. And I'm saying that to all of you, not just Dylan. The connection between sleep and the storm isn't very clear to me explored. Because the sound that helps me sleep, this also makes me think that you like tornadoes, because you don't say that the storms have gotten worse. Hey, I usually would fall asleep to the gentle breeze or the pitter-patter of rain, and now there's a tornado, and now I have nightmares. You just, which makes me think that you were falling asleep lovingly to tornadoes. This just sounds like you don't like them. I can understand from reading a lot of poetry that the storm is an allegory for your inner thoughts, because that is a very common allegory. But from this, I don't get it. Like, how is it attacking your thoughts? What are you thinking about? Like, you spend this time describing what it does to your house and not your head. This could have been time better spent. And I get the window open isn't a literal window, but it's not clear what you actually mean by that. And feel warmer. The reader isn't gonna know what you mean. There's not enough exploration with the storm being stress to make the reader understand that by feel warmer you mean turning to face it. But it also sounds like warmer. That's a superlative. You're comparing something. So the tornado versus your thoughts, I'm assuming. The tornado facing the stress will be warmer than your thoughts, but the tornado represents your thoughts. Like, warmer than what is my question? And if the tornado that just destroyed the willow tree is warmer than something, then the thing it's warmer than must be pretty freaking bad, and that's not brought up a lot or referred to in here, so that's also misleading. I feel like I'm being very mean to you, Dylan, and I'm sorry. I don't think critiquing is mean. I don't actually think I'm being mean, but I do think I'm pointing out a lot of improvements. Please don't take this personally. I don't think beginners are ever bad. I don't think you could ever consider a beginner writer bad, because they haven't had enough time to prove their actual skill in it. You know what I mean? I think a beginner who reads a lot, loves poetry, tries and just has fun with it is good no matter what kind of pieces they put out. I think a bad writer is someone who is content with being sloppy on purpose, someone who half-asses. Like, I don't think quality has anything to do with beginner, so please know that. All right, we're gonna move on to your second poem before I answer your questions. Glitter is a gun. The spotlight is off. I can't find my exit. My lines spoken soft. My movements too stiff. A sequence of sequence. Glitter is a gun. Amputate my feelings with fabricated love. The highest praise, the biggest stage, the golden days are gone, I'm afraid. Ooh, that last line. Oh my god. Okay. Dylan, let's go. Come on. All right, I'm not gonna lie though. When we got to here, I had a bit of a no. Cause 10 out of 10. And then these lines sounded very, and it's only these two lines. So it sounded very, I don't want to, this is the only real mean thing I'm gonna say in this, video. I'm sorry. This though, 100 out of 100. I love this last stanza. The highest praise, the biggest stage, the golden days are gone, I'm afraid. That rhythm is so there. Oh, yes. Good job. As to the formatting of this poem, I would keep all the lines one line apart. I would keep one space. I don't know if I messed this up, copying pasting from your email. That could be my bad. But I would just keep it uniform. I would take out this extra space and just have it. Glitter is a gun. I don't know what this means. Oh, I should read what your email said. This poem is about confidence and the way celebrities or any actor can be treated. Insecurity when you never know if the audience is looking at you or not. Are they applauding for you or not? Feeling like you're drowning in fake love. From that description and from the poem, I am guessing that glitter is a gun. It means that all this fakeness, all this show is very hurtful. But I feel like I'm guessing. I shouldn't be guessing. That line goes hard though. Glitter is a gun. That goes hard. And you don't need to change it. I think if you add more context around it, if you make your message clearer, keep that line. What is this about? Is this about literally actors, or are you using actors to explore fake love? Amputate my feelings with fabricated love. That doesn't work. There's suspension of disbelief with metaphors. You can get away with quite a bit because the reader knows that it's a metaphor. You're not literally saying amputate my feelings with fabricated love. Like, they know that that's not a literal thing. So they go with the image you're giving them. Like, that's fine. But there still has to be logic. The image of amputating something with something fabricated takes me out. The metaphor still has to work in the imagery, in the logic. And that's what makes metaphors hit. It's when they line up so perfectly with what you're trying to say. You could say, dress me up in fabricated love, a little bit of wordplay. This poem feels like 3 different sections that aren't talking to each other. This feels like you're just not ready for something. And then the second part feels like materialism. Or just fakeness, yeah. And then this last part feels like a time that's passed. I feel like I don't really understand what the focus of the poem is. Yeah, this in your email you said it's about like confidence, and I can see that in the first part. But last part says golden days. So were you confident at one point? But then you have the fabricated love in the middle. Who is loving you? Who is this? Where is this coming from? Is it specifically the fans? Is it in acts? Is it... I just feel like I need a little bit more guidance in this poem. So Dylan, my overall thoughts of what's going on here is that you need to learn how to focus what your poems are about. I'm telling you straight because I respect your poetry. I feel like you don't know what you're trying to say. Learning how to present an idea clearly, knowing how to handle an allegory and control your words, that just comes with time, practice, and reading. I don't expect beginners to be able to do all those things perfectly. I still get those things wrong sometimes. It's the learning process. Yeah, it just feels like you're trying to juggle too many things in here, and you've distracted yourself away from any specificity. You've distracted yourself away from any Have I ever said that word before? Specificity. I'm trying to sound so smart. You know what? Don't listen to a word I've said, Dylan. I suggest that you read poems, look at how they set up an idea, and then see what they do to it and how they stay focused on it, and take notes on that, because seeing examples in poetry for what you're trying to do is the best teacher. I'm gonna suggest that you read some Billy Collins poems. He does subject A to subject B very, very well. He's a modern writer, and he uses very casual language. He's not over the top flowery or too sophisticated. He usually says things in his poems very whimsically, funny, conversational, and then sometimes he will throw in something like an old historical reference or scientific principle or something, and it's very balanced, and I think you would really like his work. I'm going to tell you straight up, because you asked, you do use a lot of pretentious language. That's part of being a beginner, though. Beginners don't have settled, unique voices. If you're a beginner, you tend to lean on those types of words while you develop your voice over time. So don't take that personally. I don't think that that means you're a bad writer. I think that just means you're developing in your writing voice. I feel like something that could help you a lot would be to focus on your allegory more than your word choice. Building up an allegory, having specific descriptions, knowing what you're gonna build off of will give you more opportunities to get strange or unique with your wording, because if you just write without a lot of imagery, you write without thinking of your message a lot, you kind of rely on flowery language so it doesn't feel like you're just writing a sentence. Instagram poetry does this a lot. Instagram poetry doesn't use technique, so it has to rely on flowery language or else it's a sentence and not a poem. If you don't want to sound like Instagram poetry, I would focus on your allegory. I'd focus on learning subject A, subject B. I would focus on making sure your poem is not just the way your words sound. Instagram poetry does not know how to handle a metaphor. It uses all cliches, it scrapes the surface, or it explains the metaphor completely to the reader and points out everything it's doing. It cannot handle metaphor, the most basic shit. And I don't think yours is Instagram poetry. I think yours is beginner poetry, and if you want to steer away from sounding like Instagram poetry, this is the advice I'm giving you. Yeah, just learn basic foundational knowledge. Just learn poetic techniques, learn allegory, and I believe that your wording will just come with time. You asked where's the line between too sophisticated language and more natural language. I can't draw that line for you. There is no specific line. It's case by case. It has to go with your tone, your subject matter, your technique. I can't tell you, but you will find it. If you read more and you practice more, you will find it. You will get to a point where you put down a word and you go, oh, not that one, and you change it to something that feels better for you. Rule of thumb, though, is don't use a $1 word where a 25-cent word will work. And congrats on your book. All right, Dylan gets, let's see. Dylan, I'm gonna give you this little blue long neck. What are these called? Oh, I need to ask Cadaver Guy. He's obsessed with dinosaurs. Stick to my goddamn shirt. I'm hoping Annie's sticker will stick better. Poem number 2. Hello, I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I cannot believe this is true. OMG. Anyways, hi again. I go by Annie, she, her, and you can say my name in the video. If it even gets there, ha ha ha. I'm about to turn 18 actually, but it's not like I have been writing for that long. I only started to take it seriously about 1 to 2 years ago. Most of them are random personal works or fanfics. I want to ask you how I can improve this poem specifically and the way I write in general. Since most of my work is short stories, awesome. I have never learned to write poems properly before. This piece is the closest thing I have to a finished and most looking like a poem. This poem is originally a vent poem I wrote during a crisis, which is why it sounds a little violent, extreme self-loathing. I'm not sure what the reader can take away from this poem since it wasn't even supposed to sound good, it's personal. However, I do think the message here, after rereading in a better state of mind, is that you're not weak, don't sabotage yourself just because your mind says you are. An outsider's perception of you will never define who you were, are, and will be. Also, please don't unalive yourself. Thank you. Alright. A heart. I woke up in a forest of hearts. I stood up from the ground to take a look around. A forest full of hearts. Plenty of them on the trees. Plenty of them on the ground. Laying all around. Like they were nothing profound. I stepped on a leaf. A heart leaf. My step left it wrinkly. I picked it up, examining. What a fragile leaf. It crumpled in my hand. You cannot survive. What was left of it fell from my palm. Too fragile, too weak. Then I walked away to the fruit tree. I reached for a heart. Then they put up a fight. Not moving from the spot, I kicked the tree hard. The tree shook. I kicked the tree again, and again, until it fell. Watching the tree fall to its demise, I mindlessly picked up a heart-shaped apple. I bit into it. Chomped, swallowed, till it was only a hollow core, not in use anymore. Last destination, the heart tree, the tree of hearts. Beating red hearts were visibly hung, contrasting the green leaves. I kicked the tree once more, since it was no use trying to take down one normally. Few fell down, just one in front of my eyes, beating, throbbing, trying its best to stay alive. Stomped. Blood splattered from the bottom of my shoes. Stomped, the size decreased by half. Stomped, what's in use for a heart? Stomped, if it only gets ripped in half. Stomped, the heart is barely surviving, trying to hold in the bits of blood it had left, trying to keep beating. Stomped, it worked once, so stubborn, so resilient. For what? For who? I surely wondered. I wiped away the blood from my body, my face, my shoes, my clothes, wiping away the disgusting blood, the blood of a stubborn heart. It wasn't as fragile as the paper heart. It wasn't edible like the fruit heart. The only thing special about it was the fact that it beat, beating like there was no tomorrow. Yet there is no tomorrow for such a heart. A heart needs to listen, to comply, not fighting back. Such a pathetic heart. Stubbornness is the death, beating without a host, beating without a purpose. You're better off being dead. So I walked off from the forest with a heart-shaped hole in my chest. I'll come back one day, when the heart regrows and pounds once more, and I will stomp it out once more. Just a quick note about the email before we get into this. I have never heard of vent poetry specifically before. To me, this is confessional with a narrative, mostly a narrative poem. I'm confused by the term vent poetry because so many poems vent. Yeah, please leave in my comments what vent poetry is, where I could learn more about where that came from, because I've never heard of that before. Teach me something new. I love that you're using a narrative. I love that you're using a setting. I love that this has touches of surrealism in it. I'm a sucker for surrealism. Like you kicking down a full tree. Just like a person kicking down a tree, and then all the heart stuff. Yeah, you got some surrealism in here. I love that. And you have the speaker doing a lot with the setting. You have them going to different places, and I think that's a really great start. This does feel like you write a lot of short stories and a lot of prose. That does get in your way a little bit with poetry. You're having a little bit of trouble transitioning from one form to the other. That's totally fine. It is very hard to understand poetry when you've written prose your whole life. But yeah, I love that you are still using like settings and narratives from the short story knowledge for your poetry. You start with a rhyme, right? That kind of confuses me. Profound feels forced. It feels like it's only here for the rhyme, which makes me think that your rhyme was intentional, but then, you know, no more rhyme. Hard to see the imagery. I didn't understand what the forest full of hearts was. I first pictured big hearts in the ground instead of trees. And then you say on the trees. And that's where I'm like, oh, are they like the leaves, like a big cherry blossom tree? And then laying on the ground. So I pictured some of them fluttering down. And that's when the scene came alive in my head. I know you kind of don't... You don't really point that out, saying that they're doing that. But that would have been really cool. Because really good imagery, I feel like a really underrated principle is to add movement. Adding movement makes something so much more visible. Having those little... hearts. But I guess from reading the rest of the poem that they're not leaves, they're like growing on the trees. Yeah, I just had trouble picturing plenty of them. Makes it sound like you have a personal opinion with how many there are here instead of just saying that there is many here. Plenty sounds like it's an opinion. I don't know if that's intentional or not. So you do something cool here. You use quotes, but you also say you woke up. When you use quotes, traditionally quotes were used to lend credibility to the poet, saying it's almost implying that this is what someone said word for word. This actually happened. Of course it didn't, but it's the poet saying, please, like, doesn't this seem more realistic? It has quotes like a book. And then you also say you woke up. So it's a dream, but also quotes, it really happened. Do you know what other poem does that? The Raven. And it wants you to think, this is a dream, but could it have happened? What's going on here? I don't understand. I'm trying to logic the logic, which is exactly what the speaker of the Raven is trying to do. You try to do exactly what the speaker does. I don't understand the quotes here. Obviously I know you weren't going for that effect. You could if you'd like to. So for quotes, you can leave it like this, or you can indent, or use italics. There's lots of different ways to use quotes. You sound very super villainy. I'm picturing the flashlight over your face. You cannot survive. And I understand the anger of the speaker, but I just want you to make sure that the anger doesn't sound silly. I would make this present tense. It would give it more energy and more confidence. And here, too, just having trouble picturing. Okay, so the heart equals the fruit. All right. The heart is also just on the tree, so it wasn't the fruit before this, or is it? What is the difference between these hearts? Structurally, what are they? But also, what do they represent? How do I know that these hearts represent something else? Because it seems like they all represent heartache. But if you go to destination 1, 2, then 3, which I like that you're moving through the setting, but if you're doing that, they should build off of each other. That should be you expanding the metaphor every time. You're learning something new every time, but I don't know the difference behind what all of the hearts represent. Something you do build off amazingly. Where is it? This poem's so long, I can't find it. The attitude. We can tell... Attitude has 2 T's. We can tell that the speaker is angry pretty early, but we see how vitriolic they are by the end, and you do build on that. I like the attitude slowly building here. You do use a lot of extra words that you don't need. I surely wondered. That doesn't sound right. Surely wondered? Why Shirley? And don't call me Shirley. I don't think Shirley wondered anything.
Please clap.
And you use a lot of 2 words to say 1 word. The word was barely surviving. Just say barely survives. You don't need all these extra words. It kind of softens the edges. What's another example? Another example is being. I think that sounds a little silly in this sentence, and that can sound nitpicky. Yeah, since there's no use in trying to take one down normally. I'm kind of going all over the place in my notes here. My apologies. What? Last destination sounds like you're on a mission. Are you? What are you doing here? Are you wandering around aimlessly, discovering this new place, discovering things about yourself in this new place? Or did you get there and decide this needs to be trampled on? Which, I think that would help being said closer to the beginning. Were visibly hung. Same. I would change this wording. It sounds awkward. Were you guys waiting for me to bring up the periods this whole time? I'm gonna. I don't hate them too much. Your poem does not need them at all. But since they're here, you use one at the end of your title, which is not common. Titles don't have periods very often. You usually read the title like its own sentence and then pause and then read the rest of the poem, unless it's clear that it leads into it, like at the station of the metro. That goddamn Ezra Pound one from my last video. Whatever. Because your periods are so uniformly used in spots where there's already a pause, like notice no periods here, no periods in the stanzas, yes, and then you start using periods after stomped. That looks very purposeful. You can leave them because it's emphasizing the pause. Stomped. You know what I mean? That is up to you. Demise sounds super villainy and a little silly. Is this like... Why specifically an apple? I would take out these commas. It'll make it look more fun. And you don't need them. This is something that makes me think that you write short stories, that you are used to prose. I can't put my finger on why. You had a lot of descriptions. I would challenge you, if you write a draft 2 of this, I would challenge you to write this in less lines. Pick out what info that you think that you can't get rid of and see what you can do with it. I don't think you need all these lines. I kicked the tree once more. Last destination, the heart tree. Yeah, what's the difference between this tree with hearts and the other trees with hearts that you were just at? Kicked the tree once more. Like you kicked another tree? I like that you're playing with space. Meanwhile, this is a big chunk. Yeah, I like your use of space here. That's probably very fun for you since you don't get to do that in short stories. So yeah, I would say the biggest issue you have with this piece, and the way to specifically improve it, would be to shorten the length and figure out why you need all these different types of hearts. You have the paper heart, the fruit heart, the red beating hearts. What do all of those represent? How do they build off of each other? Why did you pick this setting? Be more aware. You made a lot of choices here. The different hearts, the going different places, the kicking, the stomping, the dialogue. You made a lot of choices here, and I just want you to go back and be more aware of why you made those choices. What does the email say about it? You're not weak, don't sabotage yourself. So you don't want us to listen to the speaker. I love that. I have a poem about a petty speaker you're not supposed to root with while she describes her roommate. It's fun writing that way. Oh, Amy likes spiders. Yeah, don't change that about the poem, not rooting with the speaker being more of a cautionary tale. Love that. As for your question, I would give you the same advice as Dylan. Read poetry, see how they set up their allegory, and then see what you can take away from it. Give yourself more practice, especially because this is a new form for you. Give yourself time. You guys remember part 2 of Doki Doki where I talk about Natsuki's level of control over her poems? This is similar to that. Beginners sometimes make choices without thinking of their impact or thinking about how they interact with the rest of the poem, because the poems are very hard and it's hard to be able to juggle all that and to know you have to juggle all that. And again, beginners just aren't told a lot of things. Having good control, keeping it tight, having your allegory mean exactly what you need it to mean with very specific words, and you're not randomly confusing or distracted. That is something to be aware of if you're doing or not. Annie, I suggest that you read some Sylvia Plath. Read some Lady Lazarus and then thank me later. Fun fact from Annie. Initially there was another Vent poem before this. Both poems were written around the same time and reflect the same emotions. The other is a lot mid and is called a seashell. Happy face emoji. Excellent. Alright, Annie, you get... Ooh, you're gonna Can you see this? You're gonna get a little toucan. A little toucan. Because they go in a tree. Oh, they are not sticking to my shirt very well. We had some pretty serious poems. So why don't you take it away, Robin? I'm Robin. I use she, her, they, them pronouns. You may use my name in the video. I'm 17 and have been writing since I was given a writing utensil. But if I had to start it on actual intellectual sentences and lines, I would say that I started when I was about 5 years old. Rad. I typically prefer it when the reader comes up with their own interpretation, but I will share my interpretation as well. Thank you, Robin. I'm going to read Robin's interpretation after I read the poem because I don't want to spoil it. Love isn't rigid. Oh, my love, I will always be there for you. I'll always be by your side. Through hail and storms, through needles and thorns, I'll always be there with you. We look at the stars and the peaceful nightly cars. I'll always be there with you. Oh, slabs of cheese and onion, 160G, 5.6 ounces, huge sharing bag. I'll always be there with you, right until I finish you off, and then I'll put you in the bin. Yes! This poem is about me finding joy in the mundane things around you, and also it's just sort of a funny story, sort of like an old limerick. Sort of like old limericks. I did intend for the reader to mistakenly read rigid as rigid, to add another comedic layer, as it was in front of them the whole time. Yes, it was. I am obsessed with the fact that this is about cheese. I love this. I love that you used its full government name, including the ounces and grams. That's chef's kiss right there. You have a bit of a refrain here that's different. It's not here. I get why you would have a refrain in a poem like this. You have a good musicality to it. Through hail and storm, through needles and thorns. You look at the stars, the peaceful nightly cars. Like, that works very well. Nightly cars. Love that line. I will say though, you're using a lot of cliches. And I understand that you probably want this to sound like a typical love poem for the first 3 stanzas, really throw people off your scent for the last stanza and the reveal, but I think that you should use double meanings. I think that you should use things that could apply to cheese and to a beloved. A beloved is who a love poem is about. You refer to them as the beloved, so I'm just using the technical terms. It would make the ending slap so much harder when the reader goes back and looks at all the descriptions you wrote and go, oh my god, that could be about cheese, that's so weird. It just makes it funnier. I don't understand the dash and not just making it a line break. Huge sharing bag. I love that. Guys, you know what else Robin did? Guys, do you want to know what else Robin did? Robin sent me haikus. I love haikus so much. Winter and haikus. Falling of the snow, pillows piling on the ground, playing all around. Minty Christmas tree, decorate with memories of Christmases yore. Crackling of fire, there for you when you get tired of the snowfall games. Restless in your bed, eyes locked on stocking and door, slowly drifting off. Wearing a red hat, heavy black boot, tiptoe round, not making a sound. Turkey and stuffing, taties, roasties, potatoes, tattered by the spout. Music in the air, causing a great festive stir, breaking boundaries. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When the old year is done, we will all sing bright. Poem is about my nostalgic memories of winter. It is presented as separate haikus in a chain to enhance the feeling of it being like little shots in a family movie. If, of course, it's a bit early or late for the theme of this poem, but I really like it, so that's why I chose it. You got the spirit of the haikus, 100%. I love them so much because haikus are like when you're on a walk in the forest or you're just on a walk and you see something and you're moved by it and you don't even understand why, but you feel like you have to take a picture and just have it, just preserve it. That's what a haiku is. It's like it's a snapshot, it's a meditation, it's an appreciation, it's just a little moment you're capturing. So having it be like a family album for the holidays is the perfect way to use a haiku. And you stick to 575 mostly. You get a little cheeky with it. There for you when you get tired. Robin. That's 8 syllables. Stocking and door. That doesn't sound like that doesn't have a flow to it. I also, you don't need this dash here. Your, I feel like that should be of your for grammar. Round. You got rid of a syllable here. And I'm gonna let that slide because it goes with the tone. My favorite is the last one because it has a countdown. Like, I've written over 200 haikus and I've never once thought of a countdown. Like, it feels like I like Sing Bright. I don't think you need the dash again. These are very good. I'm not gonna give you a lot of critiques on these. I will challenge you though. If you really like haikus, you want to write more, experiment with a cutting word. It adds texture. It's usually in the 3rd line. It's usually like here. And it's just like a ha or a splash or like an exclamation. You can also experiment with describing different things. Like, they don't have to be snapshots. I don't write a lot of snapshot types of haikus, appreciating little still images. Sometimes I write jokes. Sometimes I just do a play on words. Write about something you hate, something you don't like the look of. Yeah, I just explore the form a little bit. I'm gonna suggest that you read Teijio Nakamura. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Teijo Nakamura. I just like her. I think you'd really like her little images. Someone finally sent me a goddamn fun fact. Black holes are so gravitationally powerful that not only do they warp space, they also warp time. When we see something fall into a black hole, we can actually observe it as it looks like whatever falls in just freezes and fades away, when actually, from its perspective, it's still moving. Nice. Robin, you're getting a purple shark. Purple shark. This is the guy's name. It's on screen. This is, he said his tag, so. Hello, I watched your videos where you grade the poems from Doki Doki Literature Club and it inspired me to start writing. This is one of my first poems in English, or at least I think it's a poem. IDK for sure though. And I also wrote it in the dead of night instead of sleeping, so it's definitely not grass-fed, free-range Wagyu poetry. Anyways, here she is. I speak English and a little bit of Greek. I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. I would not put XOXO and emoji in a poem though. You can. I suggest not. It makes your poem very silly because you're so serious. Yeah, this seems silly. And this seems serious. An AC's breeze blows on my skin and I am reminded of your presence. A soft shade protects my eyes and I am reminded of your body. A song sound arrives at my ears and I am reminded of your voice. A sweet scent reaches my nose and I am reminded of your clothes. From up close you might see me cheerful, and that's because I am with you, but from afar you may see me cheerless, and that's because the former's not true. It's hard to put into words all I can say about you. It's even harder to do that in verse. It's hardest still to write this in English, or maybe it's easier since I know you can't read it. So instead of all that, take this again. Excellent poem. Presence, very vague. And honestly, this whole stanza is very vague. And you can fix this very easily without changing the idea of it. These all sound like cliches. It all sounds very vague. Oh, the sound of a song is like your voice, and a shade is reminding me of your body. I don't know anything about this person. I don't know why you love him. This all just sounds like something everyone has heard before, not specific to your situation. You don't have to get too weird with it, but I find that the weirder and more specific you get, the more people feel like your poem is genuine. If I said the lines, an AC breeze blows my skin and I am reminded of your presence, or if I said the line, I love it when you get food in your teeth because then I can put my finger in your mouth. Which one grabbed you? Which one sounds more genuine? You don't have to be weird for weird's sake. That gets in the way of your tone, but I would be more specific. You could change these easily. I'm reminded of your presence. Vague. I am reminded of your hand brushing against my shoulder. Soft shade protects my eyes and I'm reminded of your body. You can say like the shadow on the ground has the same curves as you. Song sound. That's awkward wording. Honestly, I might just want to get rid of this line. You could say, you heard the song, turned around and mistook it for their voice. A sweet scent hits my nose, reaches my nose, and I'm reminded of your clothes. Nose and clothes sound good together, but the wording is still very formal and vague. Say laundry. Say you put your goddamn face in that laundry hamper and you sniffed it. Stanza 2, you're trying to do a little switch. And I love that. I think the poem benefits a lot from that. But the switch isn't really working because this takes me out. The entire first stanza is about how that's not true. Beloved is gone. So you suddenly saying they're back, I know you clarify it very quickly. The first time I read this, I didn't continue on to this next line. I went back and I reread the first stanza like, oh, are they still here? Your switcheroo could have been something like, I actually don't miss you. I'm actually getting really used to this. I don't want you back. OJK, I miss you a lot. From up close, I think that this should be switched with far because close implies that this person's your friend. They're in your close inner circle. You are close to them in friendship. And they are seeing a side of you that's not real. Versus the far away one sees the real one. I love that. All right, for this one, take away all this. Actually, you could keep the brackets. Or like move it over, indent it, make it start here, like an aside. You can have your aside, like on stage, actors will go, la-da-da-da. You could do that in poetry. Or maybe easier since I know you can't read it. Love it. This line is awkward. I would change it to something like, but through all that, hear this. This will be the one thing that this person can understand. So maybe you can really play with the two languages here. What are you comfortable telling them? What would you let out? This is pretty good for writing in the middle of the night, and you haven't written a lot. Like, you have 3 stanzas that are doing something different. You have a little switcheroo. You have a very interesting idea. I think it just needs a draft 2. I just think tighten up your images, make them more specific. Yeah. I would love to suggest Neruda. He writes a lot about nature. You didn't. He writes a lot of odes. He writes so many love poems, and some of them have the same tone as yours. Like, it's very serious, and then it gets like humorous, lighter at the end. And I just think he's lovely. He won a Nobel. You get the swordfish. Can you see that? This one. Dylan, tell your freaking dinosaur to stay put. God damn it. All right, last one. And you knew I was gonna put you in the video. You knew it. Okay. I got. And you didn't tell me your name. And you didn't write an email. But you're in the video. You know what I heard about this poem? This poem has periods. Tiny, stubborn, smug, unnecessary periods. That's why Parker Hall doesn't like it. This poem understands the assignment. It knows it is supposed to sound like another poem. Every time it repeats itself, it gets closer to the joke, but it has a period. That's why Parker Hall doesn't like it. One time, this poem used structure very well. It copied the rhythm without copying the whole thing. It made the reference clear enough that people would get it. Even Parker could tell that it was clever. But when she saw a period, periods are probably where poems go to stop trying. That's why Parker Hall doesn't like it. This poem has a lot of good qualities. It has a clear premise. It has a strong running joke. It has a punchline waiting at the end, but it probably thinks the punctuation is harmless. But what if other poems start thinking that too? That's why Parker Hall doesn't like it. It doesn't matter if it respects the original. It doesn't matter if the parody works. It doesn't matter if the periods don't hurt anyone. They're there. They're wrong. The world is better off without unnecessary period lovers, and Parker Hall is going to tell everyone. Yes I am. Being someone's muse, oh my god. Remember when I said in Doki Doki Part 3, I don't have any hard and fast rules, okay? When I say don't use cliches, don't force it, don't do these, don't overuse punctuation. There's no hard and fast rules about writing. Those are techniques that are bad 90% of the time and get in your way 90% of the time, but if your poem can utilize it, if it can go towards your theme, fucking use it. This is the perfect example of that. This poem needed periods in order to make this joke. It is the most excellent, hilarious example of when to do something you're not supposed to do. So if you don't know, this is a callback to Amy Likes Spiders, a poem Natsuki wrote that I went over in the first Doki Doki Literature Club video. Very excellent. God, you're clever. Should have added like a shit ton of commas too. Periods are probably where poems go to stop trying. That is my favorite line. Of course I added this in the video. Are you kidding me? If this wasn't about a parody or a joke, don't the periods look stupid? Look at them. The thing is, because I didn't get an email, I don't know how serious this person is. I don't know if they're actually mad at me for nitpicking the periods. I don't know if they are in good fun, because in Amy Likes Spiders, the speaker clearly doesn't hate Amy just because she likes spiders. There's something else going on there. So is that what this is? I don't know if this person is serious. I'm going to say a little bit to people who do believe this, though, that critiquing art is bad. I will die on the hill that critiquing art is an appreciation of art and not a takeaway. You can die on the hill that critiquing art is always bad, and we will just both be dead on hills. I'll say this. This is the wrong way to take feedback. If someone is giving you feedback and you don't want to listen to it, that's fine. You can take or ignore any feedback that you would like to. It really doesn't matter. It's up to you. But thinking that the little things don't matter. Thinking that it doesn't matter if the periods don't hurt anyone. They do. If you think I critique something very little in your poem and you think it works in your poem and you want to keep it, whatever. If you think I'm nitpicking something and you keep it, not because you think it helps you, but just because you think, well, it shouldn't matter. Who cares? Little things don't matter. They're not hurting anyone. They are, and I'm trying to teach you. Poems are very hard because the little things do matter so much. The function of a poem is very, very delicate. Something Billy Collins says, and I quote him a lot, he says that when someone reads a book of poetry, they don't give a shit about you as a poet. They're not going for you. They are going to that book of poetry because they are a lover of poetry. And the quickest way to get them on your side is to show that you too are a lover of poetry, and to do that you have to show that you've read a poem before, that you understand technique, that you like to have fun with poetry, that you don't just write Instagram simple confessional steaming piles of poetry. So when I critique a beginner and I say something like, your poems looks very silly with all these periods, I do that because people who understand poetry, read a lot of poetry, people who are going to come to your book, your piece, your whatever, and they look at it, they will think the periods are silly, and I'm warning you. I don't think that everyone has to be the greatest writer. I don't think everyone has to know everything. I don't think that you have to get it right every single time. I don't. But I do think that you should try your best with the knowledge you have. Writing poetry is so optional. You don't have to be here, so why half-ass it? And beginners who don't know all the rules and they mess up some stuff or confuse the reader because they don't realize what they're doing, I don't think that that's bad. They're just new. They're not bad at it. They're new at it. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about people who know better and don't try harder. Two very different things. I don't think a lot of you guys think this. I think that a lot of you guys are having as much fun as me. The emails and the comments have people very enthusiastic, and when you see all the layers and technique and stuff that goes into poetry, you guys seem to be as inspired as I am. I understand that I get overwhelming. I can overwhelm a new person. I info dump a lot. I over-explain things. I go over the top a lot. I'm gonna keep doing that. You get the giraffe. That's why Parker Hall doesn't like it. Other than me ranting at you guys about why being nitpicky is fine, I don't have any notes about this poem. Very polished piece. Honestly, I shouldn't have handed out stickers. Not enough of you guys sent me goddamn jokes or fun facts. What a shame. Good job, everyone. Like, holy shit. The emails I got, the amount of the different pieces I got, you guys blew me out of the water. Again, I honestly don't think anyone sent me anything bad. Are just beginners. The only one we should ever be bullying about poetry is Yuri. Thank you all for sending me your work and giving me an opportunity to give feedback on it. Thank you for letting me talk about it. This is all I have in my life. I don't do anything else. Before we go, I promised you a treat. I'm giving you another one of my poems to rip apart. Do whatever you want to it. I saw some people critiquing my 3 raccoons in a trench coat poem in my emails. I think I'm gonna have a video just about that. Go crazy all over this one. It's called Tiptoeing on Beige. I was writing a whimsical collection about how people get themselves into ruts and how people get stuck and lack self-awareness, and this is my one on social anxiety, and I think it's pretty neat. Go nuts. By the way, I'm doing memberships. You can sign up to be a member. You get exclusive content. Not full YouTube videos yet for you guys. I'm trying to figure out live streaming for you guys. I'm mostly doing shorts and early access right now, but it's a good way to support me if you would like to. No pressure. I tried to make it cheap, but I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the emails. I appreciate you guys being here with me. I'm gonna try to get through more emails next time.